Hello, and welcome to Body of Knowledge, where we explore how the body helps make knowledge. That is what we do. I just don't know how to say it yet. I'll get there. Okay. I'm still in process of moving into this office. I hate having the white walls, so I was gonna hang these up, but then I didn't want to put a bunch of little holes in the wall. So please appreciate my attempt. So today, what I've seen a lot of people posting, so I figured I'd jump on the bandwagon, is some influential books there's one paper that I read this year, and I should probably start documenting somehow, some way, like a list of what I'm reading, because I was having trouble remembering. And a lot of these books I don't have with me because I haven't brought all of my books here yet to my new office. So I set up a PowerPoint. Please appreciate the effort that I'm putting into this video. Okay, I'm gonna let myself go on my little tangents. Why not? It's December 23rd, it's snowing, it's practically Christmas. I'm gonna give myself a little treat. Now I forgot the tangent I was gonna go on. Anyways, I sat down and I felt like I was missing something, but I don't know what it is, so I'm just gonna roll with it and see what happens. I realized in the last couple of videos I had missed talking about the self-care practices, so I just want to do some check-ins of those kind of things, just because they tend to come to the foreground when it's near crisis mode and then recede when everything is working. Not from doing them, but from my attention. So I just want to mention, yeah, I'm still doing all the things, and I just remembered what I wanted to do before I sat down to do this. It's fine. Anyways, yeah, going to the gym, doing my little tinctures and herbs, and doing the breath work and gratitude practice. I am keeping all of those things up. I think that they are helping very much. Though there was one day, yesterday, one day, not that long ago, called yesterday. Yeah, where I just was in a mood, a heavy, melancholic mood, and I went to the gym. And that experience just made me realize that our emotions have weight. I could actually feel the weight of sadness. I was doing, I do a workout program, and so I had done this workout. I'm pretty sure I've done it in the past. It's like, it's sweat, it's Kalo, it's Zap, so it's like generally the same with some tweaks. In any case, I had done this workout before, fine, and yesterday it was like, it felt like I had another 50 pounds on the weights that I was using. But what was very interesting about it was, like, as I sat there and I just kept moving, kept working, kept doing the reps, and just noticing, like, oh, this is really heavy, and just sitting with it and squatting with it. Eventually it did kind of just lift. So, it's an ongoing struggle. It's an ongoing battle, but maybe battle isn't the word that I want to use. Trying to stay away from vocabularies of violence. But sometimes it does feel that way. Yeah. I was thinking a little bit about this last night, but I can't remember what I was thinking about. Just like the sheer effort that I put into wanting to feel satisfied or content with life, I think proves Freud's death drive incorrect, because I am doing everything in my power to fight that. So that's that. I have my right here, my seltzer water with some herbs in it. And for the How to Build a Scholar's Life, influenced by Carolyn C. Ooh, I am struggling with those notes. I'm really struggling to put myself out there, and it's like a bigger thing. I'm feeling right now just very fragile, maybe, and I'm wanting very much to be cocooned I'm feeling very self-protective. Like, when I say very, I mean like to an extreme. Just feeling like I don't want to do anything that even might lead to getting hurt. And I don't know if it's just the weather or what. And I don't know if it's something that I should just sit with and allow. I'm kind of leaning towards that because it's winter solstice and it's the time to go inwards. It's the time to tend the inner flame. So I think I'm just gonna sit with that and be aware of it, and not power through it. We'll see what happens. The Streaks app is keeping it front of mind. It gives me the reminder every day, you haven't done this. Or like, do this. And occasionally it will be like, you seem like you're struggling to do this. Do you want to decrease your goal? And I've left it the same. So that's interesting. Whatever. I have been doing my daily writing and revising because papers are due. Papers are past due. And why I'm doing this right now is because I finished my phenomenology paper yesterday, turned it in, and I'm mentally exhausted from that. It was a difficult paper to write, but I'm pleased with it, and I hope that I get some feedback on it. And I was like thinking today, I just want to take a break. I just want to give my brain a rest. And there was a part of me that was like, you have one more paper due. You cannot, blah. And I'm planning to go to New York for a couple of days after Christmas. So I was very tempted to push myself to work, but then I compromised and said, I'm gonna take the afternoon off, at least give myself time to be free. And so that's why I'm here. Yeah, but mostly I'm just really seeking softness right now, seeking to soften my energies, seeking to soften the boundary between myself and external demands. Like, if it comes at me like this hard boundary, this hard demand, then I'm gonna meet it with softness, to meet it as I desire to, not as it desires to be met. And in the context of the papers, I mean, I've always gotten good grades, and there's the part of me that wants to chase the good grades, and I'm been having a conversation in my head that's not been going well. It's not going badly either. It's just I don't, I've been telling myself I don't need to get an A. I don't care. Like, at the end of the day, what matters more than an A is feeling good, not burning out, not depleting myself. So if taking an afternoon off for self-care, for my own nourishment means that I lose a few hours of work, that docks me some points on my paper, that's okay. It's okay. So that's the update. That's the scholarly update. Now let's get into books. All right, let me look at my notes. Yeah, I was kind of struggling to think back to anything beyond everything I read for the phenomenology paper. Okay, number one, these are not in any particular order, they're just kind of as they came to mind. Number one, Dancing in the Streets by Barbara Ehrenreich. This I did use in my phenomenology paper. It is already helping me answer some research questions. Well, not answer, but like think about them, giving perspective, giving little peeks into what's possible. It made me question my assumptions about, I guess, about what's normal, quote unquote normal, and like how things have to be or should be, and how much of it is just a cultural production. It also made me critically assess my own engagement with performances. I talked about that in a few videos. Am I engaging as a participant or as a spectator? What am I asking for? What am I giving? And not necessarily thinking that there's a right or a wrong answer to that, but it is interesting to think about. In some cases, it has detracted, I guess, from the performance. A friend of mine wanted to go see the Rockettes, so we went to see the Rockettes, and the only thing I could kind of think of was, this is a spectacle. Like, this isn't a performance, this is a spectacle, and it's about perfection, and so I appreciated that performance a little bit less because of this book than maybe I would have. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but just something to note. But more than anything, it just solidified the idea for me that I don't know if I can make the case that it is natural, but what I would like to be more natural is participation, is being embodied, even if I'm not on the stage, like I mentioned in the Shakespeare in the Pub, like still participating energetically, still being a part of this experience rather than merely being amused or entertained. And then lastly, it gave me the term communitas to explore. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. It's Latin. Communitas. Communitas. I don't know. But this term for collective joy. Yeah, I liked that. I liked that term. I liked that word. Okay, next up. Okay, come on. Next up, we have The Chinese Pleasure Book by Michael Nylan. I came across this last spring. I wish I had come across it earlier because it really helped connect some dots for me thinking about pleasure. It gave an ethics of pleasure, Chinese ethics, ancient Chinese ethics of pleasure. And what was really important for me was distinguishing between different kinds of pleasure. And because that's a big thing that comes up when I was talking to people about pleasures, like, what about this? What about this? What about this? What about this? And pleasure is such a broad word. It covers so much. It's really hard to define it. And so this idea of distinguishing between kinds of pleasures, I really appreciated that. Another thing that this book did was very clearly made the case that pleasure is relational. Pleasure is not, well, isn't always, getting back to the idea of distinguishing, individualistic. And even when it's individualistic, we are in and of the world. So that was very important to me when I read contemporary pleasure discourse. Something that often comes up to me is like, I am claiming my pleasure. I'm demanding my pleasure. This is my right, and it's all about me. So this relational ethical pleasure philosophy, I very much appreciated that. And then kind of answers not necessarily why we're drawn to bad pleasures, but answers that question of why are things that are bad for us, why do we consider them pleasures? And the two big categories that she points out in the book are, I think it's sustaining pleasures and consuming pleasures or depleting pleasures. So sustaining pleasures are the pleasures that nourish us, and consuming pleasures are the pleasures that deplete us, specifically our chi or our life energy. And so having this way of just being more, it goes back to agency, which is something that I'm trying to claim more of in my own life. And so it's not saying like good pleasures or bad pleasures. It's not distinguishing between them that way, but it is saying, okay, I'm going to do this thing, and specifically, I'm going to do it even though I know that it's not nourishing, like drinking my Cokes. I know that in the long run, those are not helping me, but I enjoy them, and so I make that choice to do it anyways. So I really appreciated that book. I think my one sadness about not continuing to focus on pleasure is like not getting to explore more of what came up in this book. Okay. And then Tending the Wild, I didn't actually read this whole book. I read sections of it in my ethnobotany class. This is another book that made me question my assumptions, specifically about what does wild mean. We talk about the wilderness, we talk about the wild, but really this idea that we have of it is a myth of the Euro-patriarchal imagination and a way for them to colonize the land. Another thing this book did was cemented the relationality, so that's another theme coming up, but the relationality of humans to the land. We have this assumption that wild means no one is on the land, when in fact, oftentimes these places that look wild are tended, but in a way that gives agency to the land. Like it's reciprocal. It's not just about what do I, the human, need to thrive and survive, but what does the land need to thrive and survive? So it's very relational. And then I used this text to help me write my term paper for this class, and that really helped bring it from information gathering to an embodied understanding, because my term paper for this class was something like a scholarly personal narrative. We had to go visit places, a wild place, and we had to define what wild meant, and then a botanical garden and an arboretum. And so getting this embodied understanding of my own positionality in these places, I really appreciated that. So actually applying the book to my own experience was important. What else? And then we read a chapter on basket weavers, and that made me just think about how close or how far are we from the materials that we use. That got me thinking critically. Apparently I have no storage on my phone, so we'll see how this goes. I'm a potter, and I'm working directly with my hands in the earth, and yet I am so disconnected from the places that my materials come from. So it got me thinking about that, and I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with that thought, but it's present in my mind. Okay. Next, this is a paper, and it's a paper that I actually read last fall, but I've continued to engage with it through this year. It's called Revolution as a Care Plan, and it's about a militant anthropologist and nurse who went to Honduras during the coup, and talking about mutual aid and somatic solidarity. And when I read this paper last year, I really hated it. There were some things in it that I just found so distasteful. So I had mentioned, so the reason this paper stuck with me is I'm kind of known in my program as the body person, the somatics person. I'm not kind of known, I am known as that person. So when we read this paper and had somatic solidarity, everyone thought that I was going to love it, and I didn't love it, and I just kind of briefly said why I didn't, and then my professor was like, I'd like for you to develop that thought more, and post it in our Canvas space. And so then I had to read it again, which made me hate it even more. And it's been a thing that I recently revisited it, and I actually took the time to question my assumptions and to think about, okay, what does she mean when she says somatic, and then understanding that we're just coming at this from different perspectives. And I'm still struggling to say, like, it's okay to use that word differently. She's coming at it from a medical anthropology perspective. I'm coming at it from embodiment theory perspective. Also just, I think that this author and I have different philosophical foundations. And so that made me realize, not that I agree with the paper necessarily. I have come around to certain points on it, but it just made me realize that I need to be careful about how I'm critiquing things, and making sure that I'm critiquing what is written, not what I wish had been written. And it's also cemented for me the importance of choosing carefully who is part of our scholarly ancestral tree. That's important, because the people who that flow of influence is going to come through. And so some of the ways that that she was using embodiment terms or somatic terms or anything like that were just different than I think are right. However, they're entirely different philosophical schools that still exist and still think that they're right. So it's like, it's making me grapple with the idea of truth, with the idea of perspective, with the idea that there is no one right way to come at things, which is always hard, regardless if it's in scholarship or not, to be like, to actually have an occasion where you can say, maybe we're both right, and have it be like kind of true. Still struggling with it, but this, using this paper has been impactful for me personally in my scholarship. Okay, next is how to read a book. So starting at Goddard, I had to design my own personal curriculum. Now that I'm going to be going into comps next year, I'm getting back to that, designing a personal curriculum. So this is super helpful for that, because when you're just learning for personal curiosity, you can read whatever you want. When you're designing towards something, towards an end, like a curriculum does, then you have to be more, intentional. You have to be more intentional in how you're choosing things. And so this book helped me learn to take time before I start reading a book to figure out what the book is about. And is this something that I want to read that is helpful, that will move me forward? Tech problems, my kryptonite. So taking this time before reading it and being more intentional about how I'm reading it, is that also giving me a stronger relationship with the text I'm reading. So back to this idea of relationality. And just overall, it gave me skills that I didn't learn in school about how to actually learn and engage and understand. And I think that this book will continue to just help me become a better and better scholar. So those are like the 5 most impactful texts that I've read this year. I am reading some fiction. Let's see, I'm working slowly but surely through the Wheel of Time. I have loved fantasy since I was a little kid. There's certainly a lot to critique about the book, definitely the gender essentialism, but there's some interesting magics that are not gendered in this book as well. So working through this one, and then I'm working through The Mists of Avalon. Okay, I'm listening to this and I am determined to finish it. I didn't read this book. I started to read this book, I think, when I was in middle school, and I have just never been able to get through it. And this time, and I keep trying, and I don't know why I keep trying, because actually the author was kind of a horrible person, married to a horrible person, did horrible things to her child. So it's like part of me that just wants to be like, just be done with it. But then also within the realm of people interested in re-enchanting their lives, this book has been quite, it's a seminal text in that that world. As I'm reading it though, I am starting to understand kind of why I never finished it. I don't know why I didn't finish it when I was in middle school, because at that time I was a born-again Christian, and my critique of it now is that seriously, we lost our enchanted world because a high priestess of Avalon had for some strange reason, ingrained Christian values, and that's what destroyed everything. Maybe I didn't finish it in middle school because some of these problematic Christian values that were showing up then, maybe they were foreshadowing the problems that I would later find. I don't know. I'm determined though to finish this one. Probably won't. I'm taking my time with it. Oftentimes I read it and get a little bit frustrated with it. And man, doing Guinevere is so dirty. Like Gwen Huifar, the goddess that she's based off of, is an amazing goddess. And then Guinevere, especially in this one, she just sucks. I mean, everyone kind of sucks. I don't know. Okay, and then lastly, what's coming up? I picked up this one this year. I haven't started it. This one I actually do have with me. When I first heard of this book, it's by Pam Grossman. I really enjoy her work. I think I read when it was first announced that it was going to be published, and it was pitched as kind of a modern or more magical artist's way. And so I was very much into that. But now that I've done my pre-reading as per How to Read a Book, I'm realizing it's different in a lot of ways. So I'm thinking that this is going to be a practical book, which is similar to An Artist's Way, where the author uses historical anthropology, and she says participant observation, because she's participating even as she is observing, and she's going through the process, but looking to current and past artists and creators who used magic in their creative process. And this book explains to us how to do the same. And I was just reading from, that's something I picked up from How to Read a Book, telling myself what the book is about based on my pre-reading. I've taken writing classes with Pam Grossman, so I've done some of these exercises with her. I'm thinking of possibly, once I'm done with it, maybe doing some kind of book club with it, with my newsletter list. I think I'm gonna need to read it first before I decide whether or not to do it. I have two concerns about this book. The first is that in the introduction, which is the only thing I've read in full so far, she talks about like discipline, put your butt in the chair day after day, which, as I've said, is not the way that I like to approach things. At the same time, I kind of understand how saying that was necessary, because we're talking about magic, and oftentimes when people think of magic, they think that means effortless, and it doesn't. That was like still a little like off-putting to me, to be like, oh, everything has to be hard, right? But what if it doesn't? And then the second thing is that this seems like it's more of like a cookbook, whereas The Artist's Way was a path to follow, a way to follow. You do your own thing along the way, but it gave like a heavily guideposts. Like if you on a trail ride and the horse just takes you along the way, but you get to like, participate. In any case, this seems more of a cookbook. There's the appetizers and the main course and the desserts, and it's kind of separated out that way. So I do wish that there was more of a map, and so if I do use this in a book club, I think I would create a map to take people on, just to provide a little coherence along the way. So yeah, that's it. We'll see how I'm able to put this video together, since my storage is messed up. It's all in photos too, which is, I thought, why I pay for the cloud. I don't know. But I have the afternoon to figure it out before I start writing my last paper of the semester. That's where I am. Wow. I didn't prep myself to wind down. I just kind of ended there. And now I'm a little unsure. So I'm just gonna say goodbye for now. Happy Yule, Happy New Year, all the things.